pacifists in the main deck.
Indeed.
Which, by the way, you want a creature that can go up against the white weenie deck. The guy blocks great.
All right, it looks like we're underway here. Steve Rubin's going to kick things off.
Yeah, and then so many ways to
With
enhance it,
Westvale
by the way.
Abbey.
Lambhold Pacifist turns into a 4/4 and sees itself pretty easily in Steve's deck.
Westvale Abbey, not the typical turn 1 land here,
Fair?
but it looks like it's working. Steve, some of the slots that he did open up by cutting some of those cards, he filled them with Oath of Nissas. He's capped out at 4 of those.
Oh, he put
now.
in the 4th one. Yeah, he had
Yeah.
3 at the PT. He's up to
Mhm.
4 now. That makes sense. Do you want to speculate about what Daniel Fournier is playing, or do you want me to look at his deck list?
I'm just going to say Bant Company, but I don't actually know the answer.
It's Band Company.
All right. Right now, it is actually interesting that you bring that up, Randy, because if you're sitting in Steve Rubin's seat, looking over at this other side of the table as
Yeah.
we see him put on, he could think, well, we might be in the mirror here. We could be on Bant Company. There's a few different options, and
Right.
it may affect how he plays this turn. Probably doesn't. In this case, he's just going to play Sylvan Advocate after main phase putting a counter on his Hangerback Walker. He wants to make sure that he gets full value out of that.
The one piece of new tech I see from Daniel Fournier, he has a couple of Handwear Militia Captains in the main deck of his Band Company
Ooh,
list.
really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's the stalemate breaker, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you see a lot of decks that are looking for, like, how can I get a creature into the air? Griffspoon out of the White Weenie decks, for example. How am I going to break the stalemate that just happens a lot in this format, especially where Band Company decks are involved. So,
And his answer was make something that's like a 9/9 just slam. I like it. All right, Duskwatch Recruiter for Fournier. He's going to ship the turn back to Rubin. Both players sitting at 5-0 right now.
Steve's still king of the hill. We should just leave him in the feature match area, right? Doesn't he hold on to that for...
He refuses to let go. I did a deck tech with Steve earlier today. We'll be airing that at some point. You can get Steve's take on the changes that they made from Madrid to here.
Oh, cool.
Like you said, nothing major, no big sweeping changes, but some significant things in there for sure. And it looks like Steve's going to attack with his Sylvan Advocate, signaling to Daniel that
He's probably got a Dromoka's command.
Dromoka's command is probably in his hand, and it turns out it is. Daniel's going to not block here, and he's going to, as a result, he's going to take 3 damage and lose his Sylvan Advocate.
Kind of minimizes the damage. It's sort of a 1-for-1. And Steve turns a +1/+1 counter
Yep.
profit.
Nice tempo play, though.
Yeah.
Rubin's also got his Hangerback Walker at the ready here.
Yeah, I mean, Dromoka's command's so good. It's the reason we're seeing so many green-white decks.
No kidding. He's playing 4 of those.
Daniel on no blue mana.
God, I believe a Lumbering Falls in hand. Yeah, he
Oh,
just
okay.
played it now. Okay, he's got a replacement Sylvan Advocate as well as he ships the turn back to Rubin. Steve jumped up to number 3 on the top 25 pro rankings as a result of his victory at the Pro Tour last weekend. Congratulations to him for that.
Locks up a world spot, too.
God, it's such a big deal. And here is a Gideon ally of Zendikar for Rubin. Really bolstering his position here as he ships a turn back to Daniel Fournier, who has a lot of work to do. That is the one thing about the Band Company deck. Ooh, here we go. Collected Company. Is that it is a little slow on the card advantage from the creatures like Duskwatch Recruiter and Tireless Tracker.
See a Reflector Mage in there.
And a Nissa. There's also a Jace. Ooh, he's
Yep.
got some decisions here. Maybe a second Reflector Mage also. Yikes. Reflector Mage? Nissa. All right. Looks like Duskwatch Recruiter was his other option, actually. Okay, so he's going to return Sylvan Advocate to Steve's hand. Steve does kind of a cool little trick if you caught that. He turned it upside down in his hand to remind him of Reflector Mage's ability, which says that he can't cast it this turn. After the turn's over, he'll turn it back face up so that he knows what his options are.
It's a cool trick. I do recommend it, but you want to make sure your sleeves are symmetrical.
Indeed.
I saw one player at the Pro Tour with multiple cards turned upside down in their hand, but their sleeves had a pattern to them.
Oh,
so
no.
it's like now the opponent knows how many copies of that card you have.
Yeah. That's a little awkward for sure.
A little bit.
I've also seen players do that to signify cards that their opponent knows of.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's interesting too. I think that does have some downside to it in the sense that I've often found that my opponents have forgotten exactly what they know and don't know about my hand. And I suppose if you're going to use it that way, you could probably use it as misinformation also, though. So a little subtlety.
Steve goes for getting an emblem here. Three, 3, and 4, 4 do seem like nice sizes for creatures on this board.
And in they come. Ruben still has Hangerback Walker on the battlefield because Daniel Fournier decided to bounce not the Hangerback Walker, but instead the Sylvan Advocate. Ooh, that's a big hit there. Looks like Daniel took it. Falls down to 7. Replacement Hangerback Walker. But wait, there's more. Another Hangerback Walker. My goodness. And remember, these are all getting pumped by the Gideon emblem, too. So the fact that he cast 2 creatures post-combat is pretty nice. Oh, Declaration in Stone for Fournier.
Yeah, now we see why he left the Hangerback. What just happened, Marshall? 3 Hangerbacks died of that.
I mean, I know he had 3 artifacts, and he still has 3 artifacts, but come on. That's insane.
That was a crazy Declaration in Stone. Wow.
All right.
Those Hangerbacks represented like 10 power worth of flyers.
And like you said, we did get to see the culmination of Daniel's play there, as Steve would have certainly noted, hey, my Hangerback's still on the battlefield. Why is that the case? And now he knows. And wow, Daniel Fournier just dumping his hand here. Also, he hit that 6th land, so the Sylvan Advocate that bashed there is big. The Handwear Militia Captain will be transforming as well. Whoa. Man, Fournier took 7 from 14, going down to 7, and it looked like he was pretty far behind, and then in one fell swoop, he's almost evened up the life total. Steve Rubin down to 10, and he's added an insane board position here.
That turn sequence was crazy.
Wow. 1/3/3 Knight left over for Rubin after all that mess. Okay, Sylvan Advocate, 5 lands, so it's a 2 or it's 3/4, I should say. Oh. Captain on upkeep. Oh,
drew his card, realized. Okay, it's mandatory. Back up.
All right,
gotta flip it.
He did it. So now it's a cult leader, a Westvale cult leader. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures that Daniel controls, which looks like 6 from here with the
for now.
Maybe a possibility of more.
In addition, at the beginning of your end step, you get a 1/1.
Yeah, you get a 1/1 human. And Fournier, oh man. Yeah, he's got options here. So he's got an untapped blue source, so he can activate his Lumbering Falls. Or if he wants, he can just play from his hand a Bounding Krasis to get a blocker out of the way. Does he have lethal? What if he taps down like the Knight here, or the Advocate, I mean? Attacks with everything. I'm assuming that the cult leader has to get blocked, so then he gets in for 2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
All right, well, he's going for 7th land first to flip Nissa.
Okay. That means that Nissa is no longer an eligible attacker. suppose he's just playing around Dromica's command. I wouldn't have hated just to see him run out the Krasis, tap down the blocker. Does that leave him dead? Let's see here. With a land, it would leave him dead. No, it wouldn't. He's going to get a human out of the deal. Huh. So, after transforming Nissa, he's going to make an Ashaya. That's a 4-4. And he's going to play the Bounding Krasis. Now he's going to send with everybody else. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I suppose it's lethal anyway.
Yeah,
here.
looks like 10.
So he had lethal on lethal. He could have done this before. Now he has an Ashaya and a Bounding Krasis back with presumably a human as well. And he still gets to attack for lethal. So he's bolstered his defenses here.
Oh, Stasis Snare is the answer Steve Rubin has.
Oh. He's got a couple of those in his main deck, and he's going to take down the Cult Leader here.
Yeah.
And take 8 damage.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, the Knight Ally is a 3-3, so it just plain eats that Reflector Mage.
Yep. But this gets really interesting now because you see that Nissa sitting down there. She could have been attacking this turn. And when Steve Rubin's at 2 and untapping.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think if he throws in Nissa instead of making a Shaya, I think that would have been a lethal attack.
Now, he has set himself up for, disaster recovery much better as he's left himself with the Ashaya token. As it sat before, he would have had the Bounding Krasis only and been dead to something like Dromica's Command here, but felt fairly unlikely.
Oh. Steve Rubin sacks a clue, draws Avacyn. Cannot deploy her this turn, however.
He did find a Gideon, though.
He's had the Gideon.
Oh,
He had the Gideon way back when he made the emblem. Like that hangerback
Right.
walk, that double hangerback walker turn, he could have played Gideon instead. Like if he'd gotten the read, why did he bounce my non-hangerback? I better be careful about Declaration in Stone. He had other things he could have played that turn.
Yeah, this plan from Fournier is starting to fall apart a little bit here. He had some options on how to use his Nissa on his turn. I think a little more effectively, like starting off by attacking. Nissa, in that case also, it should be said, would not be the creature that gets blocked in that scenario or killed as just a bear 2/2. And if that's the case and it doesn't work out, then you can still play your land post combat, transform Nissa and make a Shaya anyway. You're also forcing Rubin to have, removal spell at that point too, which if he doesn't, it's just GG.
Well, I mean, I think if you add Nissa to the attack he made, you force Rubin to have 2 removal spells, which I don't think he has the mana to do.
Right.
In any case, Rubin takes down Nissa. Fournier decided not to defend it from that Sylvan Advocate attack. And now there's 5 lethal attackers, right?
That's correct. Feel like he's just going to win this turn anyway.
Yeah, no, I think
He also can activate the Lumbering Falls just to add.
Steve is bluffing Collected Company. That's where we're at.
Yep.
Like Steve has decided
That's exactly what's happening.
I can't deal with 5, even 6 lethal attackers if we count the Lumbering Falls. So let me just look as scary as I possibly can. It's the right play for Steve. It's not going to work, but it's totally the right play.
Yeah, but Daniel's, I think he looked back at that last one and
Yeah.
was like, you know what, I think I'm just going to rumble. He does. He activates the Lumbering Falls, ships with the entire team, and takes down game 1. So Daniel Fournier up a game over Steve Rubin as the players go to consult their sideboards. These are matchups that these guys will have played multiple times and will be certainly well prepared for.
It's funny, we talk about how good Steve's deck was for the Pro Tour, but what it really did was feast off of all of the decks that were good against Bant Company. It's not great against Bant Company.
Against the interesting.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's similar to the way, Brad Nelson had a deck that was feasting off a lot of things, but, there's still those bad matchups floating around. And I mean, Green White Token, it's fine, but it's not like Steve made his living at the Pro Tour crushing the Bant Company decks. He made his living at the Pro Tour getting toward the top of the Swiss and then crushing the anti-Bant Company decks. Did have to beat Bant Company for the final, and basically won the finals 4-0.
Man, Declaration in Stone was gross.
That was
game.
insane. You're right. That may have been the best declaration I've ever actually seen.
Same, yeah. And he ended up cracking one of the 3 clues that he got from it and then just being dead before the other ones could even matter. It always feels like a travesty to die with clues on a battlefield, but that is the strength of that card, right? I mean, if you're able to capitalize on the tempo that you gain from it, then it plays a lot like, you know, the clues don't matter. And that card is completely busted. When the clues matter, you know, when your opponent actually has the time to crack them and stuff, if you're playing more of a controlling deck that can't follow up with a huge hit or whatever, then it does look a lot worse. But for Fournier, man, that card looked good there.
Looking at these sideboards, see the near ubiquitous Tragic Arrogance. I think they both have access to it. Yeah, they both have access to Tragic Arrogance, so we get that dance of, is this a matchup where I want to be able to do that? Probably.
I like this dance.
Yeah, I mean, we saw in the Pro Tour Finals, which was sort of this matchup, right?
Mm-hmm.
They both brought him in.
Yeah, the Pro Tour Finals was this matchup,
You know,
minus the evolutions of a week.
yeah. There's a handful of tweaks on both sides.
Yeah.
Does Daniel want negates for the Planeswalkers? Does he want Den Protector? Does he want more Declaration in Stone? Does Steve want Declaration in Stone? We'll find out.
We've seen Ruben consistently bring in those Tragic Arrogances and use them to great effect. I joked with him during the deck tech that we did that I saw a lot of lone Reflector mages sitting on the opposite side of him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's the one that always gets picked. You could have that. It's just this poor little 2/3.
Daniel Fournier with 2 Grand Prix top 8s to his name.
Yeah, we see Daniel out at the GPs. I haven't seen him in a little while, but
Steve also has a fair number of Grand Prix top 8s, but that Pro Tour win is now at the top of his resume.
yeah, I think that Ruben has 3 GP top 8s. If memory serves.
And he was the quietest of the Platinum Pros last year, but he'll be going to Worlds for the 2nd year in a row.
Him and Nathan Holiday had a quiet fight for
Sure,
that
fair.
level.
It's hard for Nathan to be quiet with the hair.
It does stand out. All right, Ruben's going to play one of his 4 Oath of Nissa, which is going to find him a Sylvan Advocate. Tap land for Fournier. I mentioned it when we saw this deck in the feature match earlier today already, but you know, the mana for Bant Company, not amazing.
Yeah, no, it's sketchy.
Here's where the Militia Captain doesn't look so hot. It's just a 2/2 here, and it means that Ruben is not only going to be able to rumble here and hit Daniel for 2, but also just has an effective blocker. Notice that a missed land drop here
Yep,
for Ruben.
no third land.
Oh, and there's that Declaration in Stone. And again,
What just happened,
this is
Marshall?
such a huge blowout because Ruben's light on mana. He just is going to have such a hard time getting over that. Oh, it looks like Daniel's light on mana too.
Still, he killed 2 Sylvan Advocates with 1 Declaration in Stone. That's
Oh,
insane.
Start cracking those clues, Steve Rubin. Maybe he's got a Lambholt
He
pacifist.
does.
Okay. Well, that could be very good here. Remember, Daniel
Blocks.
Fournier missed a land drop. If he bricks doesn't have a 3, there's a lot of 3s in this deck, then we could see Lambholt Pacifist transform into a 4/4 here and really start doing damage. Uh-oh. Daniel's actually got another Declaration in Stone pulled up, and he's going to do it. Just mowing down the threats here. He does have a 3rd land, but it's tapped. Oh, my God. Okay, now we're going to see Ruben dig for a land. He actually already did this and just missed. He just didn't hit a land in that first Oath of Nissa. So he found a castable creature, which was fine, but he was digging for land with that hand. I think he kept a 1-lander with an Oath, so finds it here. And now Fournier really, really wants to be able to just add a bunch of power to the board. And punish Steve here. Well, that was not amazing. Tireless Tracker's fine. Nothing wrong with it. I suppose did he play the forest this turn? So he wasn't able to get a clue off of the landfall. Oh, Stasis Snare is going to get the Tireless Tracker out of the way and keep the heat off of Steve Rubin, at least for the time being. Also, you'll note the positioning of Oath of Nissa over Stasis Snare. That is coincidental, but also it also represents protection from Dromoka's command, which is something that Steve Rubin really likes about Oath of Nissa when you're going to run a card like Stasis Snare, which he thinks is a very good card. Ooh, land off the top. It's a Westvale Abbey, which means that Steve now has options. He can crack a clue or play an Evolutionary Leap or a Lambholt Pacifist. Uh-oh, but this is where it starts to get ugly. Bounding Crisis taps it down. That's 5 more damage hitting Rubin. And this Hanweir Militia Captain is just a little 2/2, has done a lot of damage, and now it's got fish lizard. Is that what that thing is? A fish lizard friend to help it battle. Yeah, Fournier, this could be a quick 2-0 here, off the back of Declaration in Stone. And that card has just been insane here.
Yes. If you're Steve Rubin, though, and you're going to lose this matchup once,
look at this.
it's a lot better to lose it here in round 6 of the Grand Prix than last weekend on Sunday.
Fair. Archangel Avacyn, and he's just going to run it out of the main phase here. And look what he's doing. He's doing his trick. Hanger Backwalker for 0. It dies. Well, we're going to think about it. This is interesting. It's never actually on the battlefield, right? There's no point at which because Daniel, I don't know if it actually would work.
What is he
Well,
thinking about?
he's got Dromoka's command in
Oh,
his
he wants to
hand.
put like a +1/+1 counter on it or something?
Can you? I've never seen
I
it.
don't think that works.
Uh,
He can fight with that.
it does say target creature. The problem is that it's state-based dies.
It's a state.
Yeah.
It dies to state-based effects.
Yeah.
You never get to.
Never targetable. This is sweet.
Is he going to try to kill Avacyn?
He can do that.
It's indestructible.
Well, there's a trigger on the stack that says it's indestructible.
No, the Hangerback's getting played.
Oh, you're totally right, Randy.
What is he doing?
He's saying, put a +1/+1 counter and fight. Use sacrifice and enchantment.
Avacyn's indestructible.
Yes, she is indestructible because Hangerback Walker went on the stack after, which means that by
He's
default,
trying to kill Avacyn as a response, and he forgot about the indestructibility trigger. What did I miss? Is he saying I can attack?
So so what he did is, I don't know. Obviously, we can't hear what they're saying. So he had 2 Dromoka's commands.
Okay.
So he says sacrifice your Oath of Nissa,
Okay.
and then he can untap and cast the other one to get back his Tireless Tracker. But that's going to have summoning sickness.
Is he putting +1/+1 counters on his creatures so they survive Avacyn's Purifier flip?
That could be. He puts one on the thing. The thing is that Avacyn's still there.
Do we have someone down in the feature bench area that can tell us what that explanation
I
was?
really am curious to hear what happened there.
Because
Okay, so
it
they're
sure
saying
looked
that,
like he. Go ahead.
So they're saying that he put a counter on it, which makes sense. He puts
a counter
on his bounding crazy
To make it a 4/4, sure.
right. So that makes sense.
Yep.
Then upkeep happens.
Okay.
Avacyn's gonna transform, do 3 to everything.
Okay.
She's gonna become a 6/5 flyer.
Sure.
So then his guy will survive. His bounding crisis will survive. The Steve Rubin's at 7 life. On upkeep, he can put another +1/+1 counter on it. On another creature or whatever.
Okay.
And I'm assuming that gives him lethal. Let's see. Put a counter on the bounding crisis. Okay, so
Okay.
it looks like he just had lethal
Well, the trick.
because he could put another counter on the Krasis on his upkeep and fight Avacyn. She's a 6/5. The Krasis
Well, she's
is a 5/5.
4/4. He can fight her before she flips.
Okay,
So I was wondering. So the time when we saw this
and
come
that
up
gives him
earlier,
lethal with the 5/5.
there's 2 different triggered abilities from Avacyn, right?
Yes.
There's a trigger that says, I'm going to flip now. That goes on the stack.
Yep.
And then if you let that response, she transforms,
Yes.
and another trigger goes on the stack, which is deal 3 damage to everything.
Yes.
So in response to that first trigger
Yep.
of Avacyn, he fought and killed her, which means she was not there to transform,
Right.
which means we never got the other trigger.
Which then the other one didn't happen, or even if it did, it's only 3 damage, and he's got a 5-power creature
Okay,
plus his
great.
others.
So two Dromoka's commands let that Bounding Krasis fight Avacyn eventually
Yes.
and live to tell the tale. Wow.
So that brings us to our turbo match here, where we've got number 1 player in the world, Seth Manfield. And he has not brought Esper.
Where are the Planeswalkers,
Yeah,
Marshall?
no, that is not what he's doing
What does he?
here.
What does he do? He's got a Loam Dryad, a Visionary, and a Reflector Mage. Does not compute.
So
And
let's
that's a
take look
Caves
at
of
his
Koilos.
list. And that is the Caves of Koilos. So I'm going to tell you what some of the cards he's running is, or are, I should say. So he's got 3 Cryptolith Right.
Oh, is this the crazy
Yeah.
4-color rights deck?
Yeah, totally.
We saw this in the round 3 turbo.
Same
Seth
deck.
Manfield's playing it too?
Yes. Yes,
Wow.
yeah.
And
So-
is 5-0 with
Yeah.
it. Well,
Yeah.
3 buys and 2-0.
So he's got 4 Loam Dryad and 3 Cryptolith Right, which gives him access to, well, 4 colors of mana, basically. And, yeah, he's playing Reflector Mages right alongside Brood Monitors, Duskwatch Recruiters, and Zulaport Cutthroats.
You've got Eldrazi Displacer combos just for
Right.
fun.
He's got 4 Eldrazi Displacer, which is kind of one of the big combos that he can get off in this deck. And, yeah, this thing's kind of insane.
Sure, Brood Monitor, like you do.
Dylan Draper on the other side looks like he's picked up
That's
the Channel
Black
Fireball
yeah,
deck
yeah.
here, yeah. So this was one that Louis Scott Vargas used to top 8 Z Pro Tour last weekend. And it looks a little tame here in comparison.
Fair.
So this is actually really cool. What Seth can do here is he doesn't actually have any of the payoffs right now, but as you can see, there's a Brood Monitor sitting on the battlefield. He can use, well, like, for example, those 3 Scions for mana. And
Flickering
then,
Brood Monitor with Eldrazi Displacer doesn't count as a payoff?
no, because it doesn't do anything on its own. But if he can get a Zulaport Cutthroat, it's GG. And if he can find,
Flickering Reflector Mage with Eldrazi Displacer
okay,
doesn't count as a payoff?
that's business, but that's not infinite, right? That's not, if he can find
Oh,
a
you got to be
Catacomb
infinite
Sifter-
to count as business.
Yeah.
Your standards have gone up.
They have, yes. If he, and that was the game right
Yeah,
there, because
clear,
he could just,
clear your husk and attack
Yeah.
with everything.
but anyway, he could also do it with the Catacomb Sifter and get scries to find whatever cards he wanted in his library, which I'm assuming is usually a Zulaport Cutthroat, but there we go. Brood Monitor. I mean, in limited, it's like a 4th pick maybe, and here we are comboing off with it. I think this deck is really cool. Like, it's sort of the over-the-top version. Okay, and so we've got kind of a neat little thing here. We've moved over a live match. So we're interrupting our previously scheduled turbo match here, which we will
Okay.
finish up after this because, well,
Okay, so
we
hold
had an
that thought.
MTC.
Seth Manfield is up a game.
Yes.
He will still be up a game. We'll resume after there's no more live Magic to watch.
Exactly.
Fair
But
enough.
for now, we've got Lan Win versus Christian Calcano down in the feature match area here. And looks like we're going to get game 3 against him. And again, this is live. So we moved him over. And looks like Calc's playing the green-white tokens deck. And Lan Win, interestingly, the blue-white humans deck didn't have a very good showing at the PT. Is that right?
It did okay.
It did all right?
Michael Majors got it into the Pro Tour Gauntlet.
Oh, okay.
It did okay. It seemed like Mono White was the better deck.
Yeah, that's
I
the
looked at
vibe I got.
I looked at a lot of the day one, what did well on day one, what got people through to day 2, and Mono White humans did quite well, significantly better than Blue White humans. I haven't seen the stats on day 2 performance. We did have both Mono White and Blue White up at the top of the Swiss in different people's hands, though. Calcano has switched, though. He was on Band Company at the Pro Tour.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He was on, he was teaming with Manguchi, right? He was on MTG Mint Card, which is no longer just for APAC players.
That's quite international now. They actually had Europe,
Manguchi,
North America, and
Calcano.
APAC.
Yeah.
Curious to see what that team morphs into. I wonder if they're going to be, Ultra Pro-esque in the sense that they, test primarily remotely and really can just knock down borders. As far as, hey, if you meet the requirements that we want for this team, you can be on it, rather than doing the traditional method of, traveling 2 weeks ahead of time for a pro tour and getting in a house and testing for forever. I find that really fascinating, that dance, because some of the teams I think are better off still getting together and just getting face to face. The Pantheon comes to mind.
Mm-hmm.
They're pretty regimented with their testing, but I think that if you do have the infrastructure in place and the right mentality about sharing information and how that works, then I think you can really make that model work. I think Ultra Pro's really shown that.
Land win down to 5 cards.
Uh-oh. No.
I think Calc might only be on 6.
Don't do it. Don't do it, Lan. It'll work out. All right, he kept. I told you to work out.
Calcano with 7 Grand Prix top 8s in his career. Couple of wins. Not currently ranked, but he's been in and out of the top 25 rankings over the last couple of years. Griffspoon to the air.
Okay, Sylvan Advocate, that's not going to get in the way here. Could we see the Gossip Mongers go the distance here? Currently, no. It's only attacking for 2, but... Oh, no.
Yeah, I think that was the problem with his 5-card hand, is that he had Gossip Mongers but no way to flip it.
Ah. Sometimes you just got to believe, Randy. I mean, what does this deck play? 18 lands, 19 lands?
The humans decks actually tend to play more. The blue-white decks tend to play more like 22.
Okay, so an almost reasonable number.
Yeah, I mean, I don't actually have land wins list, but I know the one that Michael Majors used at the Pro Tour was 22 lands, 2 Gideons, 2 Avacens.
So much, much higher on the curve.
Exactly.
Another Plains off the top for win.
Yeah, I mean, this version does play more lands. Sometimes this happens. Sometimes you get to play sweet, giant, expensive cards. Yeah, Majors had a 23rd land in his sideboard as well. And then he could sideboard in Dragon Lord Ojutai.
Oh, I like that.
How good is that with always watching him play? Is that okay?
Jeez. Oh, my God.
Right.
Is that beatable? Wow, it gets around languish, too. That's insane. All right, so Lanwin deciding to ignore Nissa here and just keep attacking for 2 against Christian Calcano. And this one looks like it could be coming to a grisly end here for Lanwin. Looks like Calculator's just going to attack for 2 here. Make another plant token and then start minusing next turn. Land has to have something, right? Nothing.
I see him shuffling spells.
He's got 2 spells. Does he play Avacyn? Maybe? We don't have his list, but...
Majors did. I mean, if you base this off the most successful blue-white humans, the one that's in the Pro Tour Gauntlet, then he has 2.
Keep attacking you. Play one way. Calcano drops down to 12. All right, we've got something here. Let's see what Lance got going on. Declaration in stone, the plants. I like that. He's going to mow the lawn here. And, of course, that means that Calcano does not get clues here, which is that's a pretty big setback for him when he's looking to try to use Nissa to make a big team.
Is it really, though?
I think so.
You still have the Nissa. She's on 5 loyalty.
Yeah,
You can just make more.
it's true. It does feel like Lance going to have a very difficult time finishing off Calcano here at only 2
Right.
damage per turn.
Right. He
Does
may have
not
he mowed
favor
the
him.
lawn. I like your analogy. But the grass keeps growing.
Indeed. Case in point, incoming.
He's like, what's our ultimate? What might happen to me?
He has the ability to interact here, but five mana for win. Nothing else. It's in the tank here.
Yeah, I
doesn't
think
have that
he's-
many. Is he? You think he's trying to decide if he wants to hit Nissa here?
Yeah, I think he's starting to worry a little bit about Nissa.
Oh, there's Archangel Avacyn though for Calcano. This could be it.
It doesn't really matter who he was attacking
No,
now.
it doesn't. Triggers, stuff. All right. Well, there is a stasis snare, though, in
All
hand.
right.
And this explains some of why we've seen spells in hand for a win, but he hasn't been actually doing anything. All right, Calcano's down to 10, halfway there.
Yeah, those spot removal spells, Stasis Snare, Declaration, they're not at their best against green-white tokens.
That Nissa ultimate is starting to come into play here as Calcano can plus Nissa to 7, which is where she needs to be before she ultimates. And if she does, Calcano will gain X life and draw X cards, where X is the number of lands he controls, which would put the race completely out of line for win and also just bury him in card advantage.
Do you pull the trigger next turn, though?
Yeah.
You're good enough.
I
Gain
don't-
6, draw 6.
Gain 6, draw 6 seems fine to
You
me.
don't want to, like, keep her around afterwards to
Well,
do it again?
You know, the thing is that, like, if Calcano can put a creature or two down, then maybe you can make the argument for just saying minus, kill you, because, I mean,
Sure.
land's down to 10. Like,
Right.
But I don't know what Calcano's hand looks like, so we'll see. That must be a Kythian there.
He tapped 1 mana for it.
Okay,
Seems like a
so
good call.
Kythian it is.
It is also an Origins checklist card.
This is getting interesting. That's an always watching. So now he gets to attack and transform the Gossip Monger potentially.
Sure.
Who are you attacking, Lan? Oh, God, a Stasis Snare.
Yeah, that just works.
Oh, man.
Grifspoon falls off and goes to the graveyard.
Yeah, this is where you don't feel great playing the low to the ground human style deck here.
Yeah.
Calcano just having his way with him. Oh no, Dromoka's command too?
Yikes.
That could just be game. He's going to have these fight and have you sack an enchantment. I think that always watching is just going to have to go away. Yeah, whatever.
Either way.
Yep, that's going to do it. Landwin extends the hand, and Christian Calcano improves to 6-0 here in Toronto. He gets to still had all the dice on top of his Planeswalker there. Tough one, though, for Lan. I mean, he mulliganed down to 5 and drew a creature. All right, that brings us back to Turbo Magic here. Dylan Draper and Seth Manfield going into game 2. We had Seth winning game 1, right?
Yes. Seth is on the crazy 4-color rights deck. Collected company with just all these crazy combos. Eldrazi Displacer combos. It can go infinite on damage. It can go infinite on scries.
Did you abandon your name for the deck already?
They put one up. They call it 4-color rights. You like Brood Company?
I kind of liked Brood Company, but 4-color rights is probably okay.
The rights in question.
Actually, I liked Brood Incorporated just because fancy. All right, Duskwatch Recruiter.
Do you have a side business naming Legacy decks, Marshall?
No, I'm out of that business. I leave that to you and Brian, David Marshall.
Oh, I don't dabble in Legacy very much.
Or any decks.
Legacy deck names
Terrible
are their
at naming
own
decks.
special thing.
That is true. Often with a vague or no connection whatsoever.
Well, it
to
has
the
to be
deck's
a reference
name.
to a reference to a thing that was true 10 years ago. Like
That's the
Black Green
criteria.
Aristocrats is a Legacy deck name, to be fair. There are no aristocrats in this Black Green Aristocrats deck. It's not actually a good name.
Right.
Black Green Sacrifice is probably what we should have just been calling it the whole time.
All right, Catacomb Sifter for Manfield. So looks like both players are doing a good job of using up their mana and filling out their board here. Looks like Draper's just going to play another Duskwatch Recruiter here. Oh, but wait, there's more. A second Blister Pod. Things I didn't think I would say while commentating. Standard. More limited for that example, but here we are.
There's the Cryptolith rights.
Cryptolith Rights plus Duskwatch Recruiter is a really nasty engine that can fill up the hand of Draper if he can find his. On the other side, Manfield, let's see, how many times can he do it right now? Just once? I guess he technically could go for twice. I don't think
He'd
he'll
have to sack the
sacrifice his
Scion,
Scion
yeah.
to do it. But yeah, this could get ugly. In the meantime, it looks like Draper.
He's attacking with Blister Pods.
Yeah, I think he's got Collected Company in his hand, and he's hoping that one of these gets blocked, just so he can get a mana to cast it. And
Okay.
He got his wish. Wouldn't be shocked just to see him pass a turn here, leaving up Company. And I'm wrong. He's going to play an
Taps 3
Amtuco
for
Husk.
Weird.
That was a little weird. Oh, and it's Collected Company for Manfield as well. Never mind that Duskwatch Recruiter nonsense.
Oof.
Did he just whiff?
No, he got his little
Oh,
Cutthroat
sorry,
and
right in the
Visionary.
middle. Thank you. All right. Well, this one's getting out of hand pretty quickly here. No sacrifice outlet for Manfield yet, though, right?
He doesn't play that many, right?
No. In fact, he doesn't play Husks. Let's see. So let's see how he builds this out. Westvale Abbey's one.
Second Zulaport Cutthroat.
Uh-oh. That's where things on Dylan Draper's side get,
Right,
very,
now
very
Nantuko
dangerous.
Husk is just basically game.
Right, but Manfield
Seth doesn't play
not
Nantuko
playing it.
Husk.
Yeah, so we gotta wait. Okay, he's gonna pass. And it looks like Draper's just calmly passed the turn back to Manfield as well, signaling to Manfield that Collected Company could be in his near future.
Yeah. He's trying to look I don't have anything to do. 4 mana. I can't cast any of these cards in my hand. Go.
And here's that engine that I was
Jeez.
talking about last turn. That is gross. Cryptolith Right, when you have the Duskwatch Recruiter out and a bunch of creatures, is just disgusting.
Now those creatures he just recruited are cheaper. And he pays 3 for Reflector Mage anyway. You see the Cryptolithites helping to make the mana work.
Making the color work there.
Yeah.
But he overpaid a little.
He tapped 3, and he's tapping 2 for Visionary. Oh, now he sees it.
He remembered. It's like float mana?
I don't think. I think it's gone. I don't think he's going to go back and try to rescue it.
I don't know if maybe you say, point at the mage and say 1 floating still.
How good is Brood Monitor with Cryptolithrites and Duskwatch?
Oh yeah,
this is just crazy.
Yeah, you get to tap them for mana in between. This is. Just
why
absurd.
kill them when you can set this board up and keep playing? This is
all right. Dylan Draper says, "Come on, just give me some of those Zulaport Cutthroats." We don't have life totals for the turbo match, so it does make it a little bit. We're a little more in spectator mode rather than diving into the details here. But what in the world? This board state has gotten a little bit.
Yeah, if Seth just had it in Tuco Husk, he would win.
Yes.
It's almost like it's more fun to play it out. Both players have. Is that a foreign Cryptolithrite?
Yes, it is.
That's why the names have too many letters in them.
Yes, it's tricking me. Oh, the pitfalls of being a Magic commentator. Uh-oh. This isn't going to be an Eldrazi displacer, is it? No. He's going to take out the opposing Cryptolith right here. Looks like Draper's may respond, though. This is his last chance to float a bunch of mana off of his right if he wants to.
That's Enlightened Ascetic?
So is he going to go for Profane Prince action here? Yeah, it's an Ascetic. I think we're going to see an Ormondal here, Randy.
I think we're going to see an Ormondal.
Scry 5 times.
4 to the bottom.
Doesn't find anything that he likes. Big Daddy Ormondal is here, though. Oh, no.
Oh, jeez.
There's the Westvale Abbey for Manfield. Are we going to see Ormondal
be.
blocking Ormondal?
I mean, if Seth had an Eldrazi displacer. Oh, jeez. That's an attack?
That's an attack?
That's hilarious. And whatever Ormondal blocks is probably going to get sacrificed so that Dylan doesn't get the life gain.
Exactly. I would assume that this is lethal.
Well, I mean, the life gain, gaining 9 is kind of a big deal.
Well, that's what I mean is that if Seth's not attacking for lethal, then he's taking the 9 in the air potentially next turn.
Yeah.
Which you would think would throw this off. So I'm just assuming that Seth is... I guess if he has his own Ormondal, it doesn't matter. Okay, here we go. Crack a bunch of these. He does have the one Zulaport Cutthroat there.
Okay, yeah. Sack the Reflector Mage,
yeah,
right?
that got blocked by Ormondal. So that makes a lot of sense. And now they're doing the math. And it was, in fact,
got
lethal.
It. Yeah, the Zulaport Cutthroat triggers on the blocked creatures. It looked like what put it over the top.
Exactly. Exactly. And on the ones he sacked to get his Ormondal going. Okay, that's going to do it for round 6 here from Toronto.
Who will be the next Magic Online champion? Watch on May 13th through 15th as players including Sam Black, Mike Sigrist, and Jerry Thompson compete for the title. Watch live video coverage on twitch.tv/magic. Whether riding the bus or waiting for the Grand Prix finals to begin, Magic Duels is a great way to hone your skills and try new strategies. Featuring hundreds of earnable cards from Magic's latest sets and virtually unlimited AI and online opponents, start playing Magic Duels free today on iPhone, iPad, Xbox One, and Steam.
Hello there, welcome back to the booth here at Grand Prix Toronto. Marshall Sutcliffe with Tim Willoughby. Tim,
How's
what do you
it
got
going?
for us?